Hey there, baseball fans. Nathan Rohde and Shooter Hunt here with the latest episode of Coffee and Curveballs. We're at the ABCA convention in the greater Dallas area, catching up with college coaches and high school coaches from across the country.
We got Fitt and Kendall Rogers, the D1 baseball guys here. We're going to talk a little college preview and maybe even some predictions for the 2019 season.
Excellent, Shooter. Please enjoy.
Shooter Hunt here at the ABCA convention, hosting the D1 baseball guys, two of the rock stars of the baseball industry, Fitt, Kendall Rogers, here to talk about the upcoming 2019 college baseball season. Guys, thanks for being here.
Oh, always a pleasure to hang out with my buddy Shooter Hunt.
Of course.
It's always a pleasure to be with such a college baseball legend like Shooter Hunt, but it's great to be here at the ABCA. I feel like we always talk about this, but I feel like it's kind of the official start to baseball season, and so let's get it going.
It's going to get going real soon here, but let's talk about what we got coming up. After last year, Oregon State, best team in the country for pretty much the whole year. They won the title over, I believe you guys predicted Arkansas in the title game. Who do we got this year that could be a title contender?
I'm going to start with Vanderbilt, a team I saw in the fall, a team that is loaded with talent throughout the roster. I mean, the freshman and sophomore classes, some of the most exciting underclassmen in the country, and then they still have a lot of veteran guys back too. They don't usually get a lot of seniors back at Vanderbilt, but they got some good ones there. Patrick Raby could be a bounce-back candidate, certainly. I just think they're stacked. In every position, and the deepest pitching staff probably that I came across all fall. So Vanderbilt will be the team for me that stands out.
Yeah, they were great last year, and having those young pitchers come in and aid that staff, which is always an arsenal of arms, they got to be pretty good this year. What about you, Kendall?
I think you look at LSU. I saw the Tigers in the fall. Obviously, Josh Smith is back from an injury. Looked really good this fall with a sweet left-handed swing. You get Zach Hess back on the mound. Landon Marceau, a freshman for them. Obviously had a great fall. Paul Maneri thinks he might be the best freshman pitcher he's ever had, which is a pretty bold proclamation when you look at who LSU's had in the past. Then we kind of looking back offensively, getting Antoine Duplantis back, obviously just a hit machine. The Zach Watson, a guy that we kind of thought would have a big year last year, struggled a little bit with consistency. He's back, so the LSU lineup's loaded. They finally have some stability in the back end of the bullpen a little bit with Todd Peterson back. He had a great fall, was up to 94, 95. Maneri loved what he saw to him. And so they've got the piece on the closer role. They've got Zach Hess back, and of course they've got that lineup. So I like LSU right now.
And Shooter, let's not forget the West Coast this year. I expect the Pac-12 to be pretty strong. Probably stronger than it was last year, deeper top to bottom. But at the top, I think you got two legitimate title contenders. I think UCLA, in addition to Oregon State and Stanford, really. So you got three teams there that I think could all be top 10 caliber teams if things break the right way. This could be UCLA's year in particular. I think they've been building toward this with their junior class, and those guys are ready to really take off.
And I add Louisville to the mix too. I saw Louisville in the fall, and I love their team. They're expecting big things out of Logan Wyatt. You look at the job that their pitching staff's done. Brian Hoeing had a strong fall. Obviously, Reed Detmers was up to 94, 95 in the fall. And they like a freshman, Kerry Wright, a lot as well. And Nick Bennett, of course. And so they've got the pieces on the mound. They're loaded on the mound. And we all know they're always going to hit. So I like Louisville as well.
Well, you've talked about the big horses there. We hear about those names every year. Going to Omaha, of course, the Pac-12, winning the championship last year, some contenders this year, multiple teams there. Who are going to be some of the sleepers that right now may not be getting talked about as much, but towards the end of the year and into the postseason, they could be ending up in Omaha?
Shooter, I'm really intrigued by the American Athletic Conference as a whole. I think that league is loaded with mid-major superpowers here. I think UConn in the North stands out to me. I think it's the best team in the Northeast this year. I think they got a real chance to make some noise in the postseason. I think UCF is very interesting, very talented. USF, certainly ECU will probably head into the league as the favorite this year. There's just a lot of different contenders. I know you probably like Houston. There's just a lot of teams that I think could really make a run, and it's impossible to handicap, but it's going to be fun to watch.
And I like the American too. I think we're all kind of waiting for them to kind of push through in Omaha a little bit. And so be interesting to see those clubs. I think for me, a team I saw in the fall I really liked was Michigan. They haven't been to Omaha since 1984. Since Barry Larkin, those guys are around. And so, I like the Wolverines. You look at the return of guys like Tommy Henry, Jeff Criswell, Willie Weiss is a freshman that had a really strong fall for them, a kid that you're very familiar with. And then, offensively, a K.O. Thomas coming back and guys like that. Joe Donovan had a strong fall behind the plate. So Michigan has depth on the mound. They've got some frontline arms in the weekend rotation. I think they've got a chance to push through this year. Now the question becomes, who do they get matched up with in the postseason? That's always a question. But I like Michigan's club a lot. They look really good against Kentucky in a fall scrimmage I was at.
It's always big to get hot at the end of the year, and I gotta correct you, not mid-majors, we call them power majors on this show, so make sure you put some respect on the American Conference there. But those are some big games to hear, and Michigan's doing a great job. They're building, even their recruiting classes coming in are gonna be really good. But with a new season, and especially looking at Oregon State, who lost multiple first-rounders last year, they got to replace guys, and all over the country, newcomers are coming in. Who are some of the newcomers that we're going to have to look out for this year?
I think for me, I think when you look at LSU, Landon Marceau, I think we've all kind of raved about him a little bit, but going back to Maneri saying that he's the best freshman pitcher he's ever seen in his program, to me just really stands out. And he said that his fastball velo's in the low 90s, but he said he's got a big-time changeup. His off-speed stuff's really good. And he said his mental makeup is just off the charts. And so when you look at a guy like that that's going to have to step in the weekend rotation, if you have that kind of makeup, that bodes pretty well to a place like LSU. So I'm really intrigued to see Landon Marceau. And another guy for me to kind of keep an eye on is Bo Phillip at Oregon State. Obviously, up the middle, losing Caden Grenier and Nick Madrigal. Bo Phillip, a junior college transfer, he's going to have to step into Grenier's role, and he's going to have to be really good. And so they're a guy that he's pretty excited about, but we'll see how he handles that role and that pressure of replacing those two guys.
There are a lot of really high-profile freshmen, and I think everybody knows J.T. Ginn, of course, Mississippi State, who I think you saw in the fall, and it was electric. Matt McClain, at UCLA, first-round guy that he gets comps to Alex Bregman, except he's like a 70 runner, isn't he? I mean, the guy, he's a great athlete who can really swing the bat. I think he could wind up probably in center field as a freshman because they're so loaded in the infield. But look for that guy eventually to be an impact infielder as well. I think Cole Wilcox at Georgia, I mean, big time arm. He could be their Friday guy. It wouldn't really shock me. They have Emerson Hancock coming back there, maybe Saturdays for Wilcox, but that could be a dynamic 1-2 punch. Georgia's definitely an Omaha caliber team, I think, heading into the year. And then, North Carolina, got a lot of veteran pitching coming back. Another team that I think could be an Omaha team, but keep an eye on Deron Sabato in the lineup. As
big dude.
There's a little bit of a sleeper freshman for you. Maybe not the same, pedigrees, the other guys we talked about, but he looked great in the fall. He's got to give them that physical presence in the middle of the lineup, play first base for him. I saw him hit a ball a mile in a fall scrimmage, so it's big-time juice in there.
Yeah, and you guys touched on it too. Those Vanderbilt freshmen, Kumar Rocker could be a real impact arm in the SEC. Electric stuff, potential first-rounder last year, chose to go to school. But it says a lot about the college baseball, just the game in general. These first-rounders are choosing to come to school.
And I saw Rocker in the fall, Shooter, and I've never seen a freshman do that in the fall. I mean, it was insane. I mean, he just dominated for 3 innings against Oklahoma State. I think he struck out 8 guys in 3 innings or something. It was nuts. But the thing is, everyone knows he's a beast physically. His stuff is crazy good, but his command was much more advanced than I expected it to be. I mean, it was just dotting up wherever he wanted to. It was very, very impressive.
It was interesting to talk to the Mississippi State coaches in the fall about JT Ginn. Guys like Jay Gocho were saying that it was like man among boys out there with JT Ginn with that fastball and that slider. So he's continued to improve his command, and they think he's ready to be a Friday guy in the SEC now. And so that kind of gives you an idea of what JT Ginn can be for the Bulldogs this year. A guy that's going to be draft eligible next year.
Yeah, these guys are coming in younger and younger, ready to play. And it's exciting for us as college baseball fans. So I'm excited for 2019. Now, I know you guys got a lot of content coming out on D1 Baseball, Top 25 getting released soon. So I won't put you on the spot too much for the top teams. But I am going to say my national champion for the year, I'm going on the record, Vanderbilt taking home the national crown. I won't let you guys do it, but maybe a group of 3 that you could throw out there who could be national champs.
Yeah, I think it's those teams we talked about, Vanderbilt, LSU, Georgia, SEC loaded as usual. I think, Louisville and North Carolina, Florida State and the ACC. We didn't talk about Florida. Everyone, how can you forget about Florida?
Can't sleep on Florida.
They're there every year. My God, you talk about freshmen.
Sully.
You talk about freshmen. The day I saw Florida in the fall, Shooter, I think there were 10 or 12 guys that they threw out there that were 90 plus. It's nuts. It's nuts how deep they are.
Yeah, no doubt about it. For me, I think it boils down to those 2 teams. I think Florida's always going to be in the mix. I think at the end of the day, for me, for now, it's LSU. I do have some question marks about the middle of the bullpen, but they do have some nice, young, talented arms. They got, Todd Peterson on the back end. And of course, I think they're going to have a pretty good rotation. I didn't even talk about Eric Walker earlier. They get Eric Walker back from the injury, so they got Zach Katz and Eric Walker back. You add Marceau to the mix and Peterson on the back end. It's a pretty good starting point for a pitching staff when you consider the offense the Tigers are going to have.
Well, I guess the only thing left now to do is actually play ball. So looking forward to the entire season, following along. Be sure to check out D1 Baseball for all your college baseball needs, and we'll be watching.
That was great stuff, Shooter. Thanks to Kendall and Aaron for joining you.
Nothing left now to do except roll out the balls and get ready to play.
Excellent. We look forward to following them for the season. Until next time, we'll see you guys at the ballpark.